5 altcoins that I think will outperform the market during July. We are here right now at the end of a shakeout phase, ready to see Bitcoin dominance fall off a cliff and give rise to these key altcoins. So do me a favor, hit that like button and let's find out what they are. Now, this crypto cycle I've been talking about for a while now. We've had the early hope phase in the market. We saw the end of last year and early on this year give rise to certain coins. We've then seen them bleed towards the downside as confidence has been lost in the market. But don't worry, that confidence is about to return and we're about to move into this phase, which means the time to be able to buy the dip is running out. Now, before we dive in and find out these 5 coins, just jump across to my Twitter page, link down below, and you can go and join the Hot Summer giveaway. We're giving away $5,000 worth of crypto rewards, one-on-one phone calls from myself, hardware wallets, VPN, exchange bonuses, and so much more. All you got to do is join the link down below, give me a follow over on Twitter, and the rest is easy. Now, the key thing about all of the coins that we're going to talk about today is, unlike many coins out there, these coins are starting to get used. They're actually gaining revenue, and that is incredibly important, I think, in this current bull market. As well as that, they have key strategic partnerships, and 3 of them find themselves at prime prices for entries. Now, the first one we're going to talk about today is none other than Rollbit. Now, why Rollbit? I hear you cry. Now, Rollbit is an online casino, also offers things like sports betting and other things. And why should we be backing a GambleFi project? Well, according to GCR, which is one of the biggest names on crypto Twitter, he said it's always too expensive for the average person to fly to Vegas or Macau. He said decentralized casinos or decentralized Ponzi's will always be the fastest horse when it comes to having easy money in a macro risk on environment. He said, I'm long humans being desperate, greedy, degenerate, lonely, and trapped in the metaverse. Which, to be fair, is one of the most brutal things I've read on crypto Twitter recently, but I don't think he's wrong. So why Rollbit? Well, because of this outrageously good-looking chart. I actually first heard about Rollbit back around this time last year from none other than a fellow YouTuber, Virtual Bacon. And after then, we saw a very good run during the hope phase for Rollbit, which showed that Rollbit had the ability to draw attention to itself. Now we've seen a nice big shakeout, and we'll look for the entry slightly later on. But I don't really want to look at all this gambling stuff. I want to look at dashboard. And the dashboard's going to give us all the info about why Rollbit could be one of the better options right now. 24-hour casino revenue, $830,000. 24 hours futures revenue, $120,000. 24 hours sports betting revenue, $100,000, which with very simple maths we can work out is about $1.2 million. And as we look across at CoinMarketCap, you'll see that the market capitalization is $221 million. $221 million with a daily revenue above $1 million. Well, there's 365 days in a year, and you would then work out that there's probably a revenue running through Rollbit of $365 million plus. And the market cap is significantly smaller than the revenue, which is pretty unheard of in crypto. Bearing in mind, ICP has a market cap somewhere between $5 and $6 billion and makes about $30 in revenue a day. So given these statistics, it would make sense that Rollbit is criminally undervalued. You can see down below that Rollbit is burning its supply with its circulating supply being quite low. This is also very positive because you can see over the last year, Rollbit's token balance has gone from 2.7 billion down all the way to below 1.5 billion, which is incredibly important when we think about the supply and demand model. There's also other big news for Rollbit, who are currently in the process of trying to get a license in the United Kingdom, which surprisingly to me seems to have the biggest online gambling market worldwide. I've also read online that they're trying to get regulation in China, but I don't believe in China. What they mean is in Macau, which is basically the gambling capital of the world, with casino revenues about 7x what they are in Vegas. If these licenses get approved, that will be absolutely massive for the future revenue of Rollbit. But I guess there is slight cause for concern because at the moment, the only use of this Rollbit token is that it basically reduces your costs of gambling on this website. So while it is great that they're onboarding new customers every day, and you can see daily active users are 2,000 members plus, not many people out there might be buying this coin in order to gain these simple benefits. However, there are other ways in which Rollbit starts to use this token and encourages people to invest in the token to be able to gain various other rewards, then this could be massive for the valuation of the token. Now, one other thing to point out that is not necessarily that positive about Rollbit, but could be potentially positive in the future, is that as we looked over to coinmarketcap.com and come all the way down below, you will see that it's only available right now on Uniswap and not really any other major exchanges. And there is pretty decent volume on Uniswap, but I have heard in a recent interview with the Rollbit founders there's a very good chance that this gets listed on a major centralized exchange soon. If that happens, it's going to open the floodgates for investors into Rollbit, and that is very positive. So as we come across to the charts, we see that Rollbit is currently in a very interesting zone. Why is it so interesting? Well, last time we were in this green area, you can see that we had a dip down towards the upside, and then we ripped in just 2 weeks up 250%. We find ourselves back in this zone, and you can see right this second we're reacting. We've broken out of this downtrend, and we're seeing, well, a couple of big pushes. Last week we went up 46%. Currently we're up around 53%. While the market looks very quiet and bleak, Rollbit is starting to show strength, and I think it could perform very well during July. Obviously, potential risk factors, other competition out there. You've got Stake.com, BCB, and others. But for what it does, Rollbit seems to offer a good service. Rules and regulations for this particular stuff is always going to be absolutely massive. So there's other risk factors to think about. But right now, I think short term, this looks like a really promising coin. Back to all-time highs, you can see 230%, which could happen quite swiftly. It happened before when this coin gained attention. If it gets listed on a major exchange, that's also going to be a catalyst for major growth. Now remember, this video is all about coins that have utility and are actually making decent revenue, because that, I believe, is the key to finding major success in this bull market. Investors are getting smarter. They're understanding that there are key demand areas within cryptocurrency, and if we can find them, there's good opportunity. Now, Aether launched just a couple of weeks ago into a fairly quiet and dead market, and so far the price seems to have been holding up quite well. Why is that? Well, one, Aether's managed to build an enormous community with one of the biggest followings on Twitter that I've seen from any crypto coin that's launched recently. It offers powerful GPU compute solutions on demand. What does that mean? Well, according to a recent Messari report, AI has massive scaling issues. Well, AI, as we know, is the trending word right now. Everything is booming. Nvidia, the world's biggest AI company, is swiftly moving its way to #1 in the charts of the world's biggest companies. But there's a problem. Nvidia, who makes the chips for AI processing and AI development, can't build chips fast enough. Specifically H100, as well as another handful of very specific chips, are in short supply, which means that AI is incredibly difficult to build and also incredibly expensive. It's also limited depending on where you live around the world, because traditional suppliers of compute power aren't able to provide. Now, this particular chart here shows you that ChatGPT grew to 100 million users in just 2 months, pretty much quicker than any of these companies listed below. You can see that the projected hardware spend by 2030 is going to be $1.7 trillion with a T, which is absolutely crazy. And it shows that there is huge issues in this market because they can't get the compute space needed to supply to build these large language models like ChatGPT. Therefore, there is only one solution, okay? And the only one solution is decentralized cloud compute servers. And there are only a couple of companies out there that have the hardware to do this. IO.net, which also recently launched, and Aether. Aether has the biggest supply of enterprise-grade GPUs with over 43,000 worth that they can access through a decentralized cloud, which is over $400 million worth of compute capacity, and that's pretty impressive. So they're basically leveraging the increase in AI demand and as well in the gaming industry. They're also offering various other different products within this ecosystem. And yet, if we jump across and check out the current market cap, it's only $242 million. Now, the more amongst you will be going down and be like, the fully diluted valuation is $2.6 billion. There's only 10% of circulating supply. And in a video the other day, I addressed this. I talked about how Gala Games was the top performing coin in the last bull market, doing 300 or 400x in return with only like 3 or 4% circulating supply at the time. If we look across to token unlocks, you can see that Aether has obviously a big bit of unlocks to go because they're giving various rewards for nodes and various other things, the VCs, the KOLs, etc. The VCs, I know, won't be unlocked until 2 years after the launch, which happened just the other day. The nodes, etc., you can see some growth, but for the supply to double, we're looking at early 2028, which probably by then we would have been for a bull market and then into a bear market. And that, to me, means that we shouldn't be too concerned about this, bearing in mind the market's about to pick up massively into the volume. Now, as we look into the chart on the daily, you can see we have a very big spike towards the upside. What was going on there? Well, simply when massive coins with big hype behind them launch, you get a bunch of market makers who are sitting on various exchanges pumping coins in, dumping coins out in order to create massive volume, create loads of excitement, okay? That's why we often get these big wicks on new coins. It's very common, and you should be very careful about investing on day one into new coins. The good thing is, though, Aether has had a bit of a chance to cool down, and finally, we can see after a little bit of time, it appears to be getting bought up in and around this area, somewhere around 6.4 cents. All the way down to 5.9 cents. Somewhere in this area, for me, I think Aether is a decent value. I do think that Aether will be one of the top performers during this bull market. In the deep end, particularly within the compute deep end space, is going to be one of the top performers. How do we know? Well, remember this chart I was telling you about? Coins that had a very, very strong hope phase are going to perform well after the shakeout phase. And you're like, oh, well, Aether wasn't around during that like pump phase. I get it. Okay, patience. Remember, we can see how well Aether's going to do by looking at other deep-in compute projects from back then, such as Render, that doesn't actually even have this AI compute capability, but still rallied on the fact that deep-in was the hype word. You got AIOZ that also rallied on the hype and excitement of deep-in and AI. You got a cash network that rallied on the hype of AI and deep-in, but doesn't necessarily have the capability that Aether does. You name it, okay? There's another opportunity, I think, that's going to have a very strong bull market and actually finds itself at reasonable valuation heading into July. Now, before I tell you what I think is probably the best opportunity of the bunch that I'm going to talk about today, there is actually another couple of coins that I want to talk about first that I think are going to have very strong Julys, but I would not necessarily suggest getting into them right now. Why? Because they've already been performing very strongly, and I do think that they're not necessarily at the best value right now, considering where they've been. First one is Ondo Finance. Why is Ondo going to be such a big deal? Was institutional grade finance now on chain? And as I look down below, I can find out exactly why some major influencers have been focusing in on this. Why? Because they're partnered with the likes of BlackRock, PIMCO, and others. What does Ondo do? Well, you probably know that stocks and shares have been around for a very long time, as have other assets people can trade, like gold and silver and all sorts of other things. However, over a period of time, there's been problems, it's a bit slower, and there's ability to evolve the whole ecosystem by tokenization. As you come across this article, you can see Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, the world's largest asset managers, deployed 100 million onto Ethereum's blockchain. Now, why is Larry Fink doing this? Well, he has said that the future is clear. The combination of ETFs and tokenization will transform the financial landscape and making asset classes more accessible, transparent, customizable, and secure. Blockchain technology will provide the foundation to tokenize assets at the large scale. BlackRock strategic partnership, blah, 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 blah. Okay? And as we come back, that key partnership with BlackRock is why we're seeing such growth right now. BlackRock and other asset managers have the power to drive this bull market. And if they start to drive more assets towards tokenization using their partner Ondo, this is nothing but enormously bullish for Ondo. And you can see by the fact they're swanning around by the sea that the team are having a good time and they've been making lots of money recently, which is obviously pretty good. But as I look at the price, it has been continually pushing higher. There has been a bit of a pullback, and yes, this is kind of like quite a nice pullback that you might be able to see an entry in. But after all this sustained upside for recent times, I would say that maybe it's not necessarily the best value and there's better opportunities out there. And those people who'd be like, yeah, but you should be buying into strength. Guys, I understand this concept, and there is a lot of strength in the market. And despite recent shakeouts, it doesn't show that these coins are necessarily weak. The strength is shown in previous hope run pumps that happened within the last sort of 6 months or so. If we're looking at stuff that happened in the last bull market and did pump then but isn't doing anything now, like the likes of XRP, XLM, etc., that would be not buying into the strength. They're not really showing strength considering where they were in the last bull market. Another ecosystem which is running extremely strongly, but again I wouldn't be necessarily aping into, is TON. Now, I've talked about in the past why TON as an ecosystem has been growing massively recently. And it's because of this. Look across to DeFi Llama, you can see TON has a total value locked of $670 million, which means it's been growing literally consistently, while the rest of the market's been cooling off, shall we say. And you can see the volume on TON is ramping up. Not only that, but the daily active users and active addresses on TON has flipped Ethereum, which is unbelievably cool right now. And this whole ecosystem is growing, okay? TON, I think, is the place to watch. And that's why the House of Crypto is launching its very own project on TON. I'm going to be telling you more about this project in the coming weeks and the various different sales we're going to be having. Within the Inner Circle Discord, which is linked down below, we're running a pre-sale at a significant discount so we can maximize the opportunity that is happening on TON right now. We're having various big VCs around the world literally reaching out to us right now, trying to invest in our project, but right now we're looking to run our seed round from our community to reward our community. So if you want to be able to access that seed round for our very own project, we're launching on TON very soon, then you need to go to the in circle listed down below. We're also raising funds for various other projects all the time. We have this trade zone where you can see we have expert traders. One of our traders yesterday made 300 USDT, and he also then airdropped his win back into the community. So you can see 3 lucky winners would win 100 USDT each. We also have a key partnership with Bitunix where you can request any coin you want on Bitunix, which is no KYC, no VPN, and we will list whatever. So you can see I asked for Myria the other day, and you can see, yes, we'll list Myria tomorrow. There's a meme coin group where you can get early access to some of the top meme coins that people are buying right now. You can chat to people around the world and find out more about cryptocurrency and so much more, all for just 20 bucks a month. Link down below. So why TON? Well, TON is the official blockchain of Telegram with over 900 million active users. And as an ecosystem, it is literally blowing up right now. Remember, more wallets are being created every day on TON than they are on Ethereum. And this is incredibly important because it's allowing the unbanked around the world to be able to access this blockchain. I think TON is going to have a very strong run in this bull market, but a bit like Ondo, okay? I do think there is potential for some form of a correction. How low it comes down to, I would say that you've got good buy entries around 6.2, and if it comes down to it around 5.3, but right now, I'm just holding my bags. I continue to believe that TON's going to continue to grow higher, and in previous videos like this one, I talked about the TON ecosystem and how to find coins on the TON ecosystem that could see significant upside. And the last but not least coin that I want to look at today, which I think again holds massive opportunity through July, is none other than OPSEC, decentralized supercomputer applications. Okay, sounds familiar, right? Similar to that, like deep in stuff. Well, it won't surprise you to know then, because OPSEC provides AI-powered decentralized cloud security. This is very, very important, okay? If we think about what Aether's doing with regards to their decentralization of cloud compute, you could be living in, let's say, Portugal, like I am right now, and you could be using compute power that came from, like, the United States or wherever else in the world. And that's obviously great, but there's obviously significant security risks involved in such an operation or anything within a decentralized environment. And that's why recently we've seen OPSEC, with quite a small market cap, partner with companies like IO.net and others. And in fact, I know as well we're about to announce a partnership with Aether. You can see that they have a range of different devices ranging from cloud solutions, ranging from nodes, lightspeed routers, GPUs, and hosting services. Similar in a way to some of the things that Aether is doing, but with more of a focus towards privacy and security. And this can be basically bootstrapped onto a variety of different products out there. This allows these other products to also benefit from additional security, independence, etc. They're also introducing things like decentralized web hosting, which could drive down massively the costs of web hosting around the world. But to put it simply, OPSEC is basically trying to enable various companies, various organizations out there to be able to decentralize themselves more seamlessly than ever. And this is with a unique suite of different tools that are starting to gain people's attention. Now, more importantly, come across OPSEC, currently valued as $61 million market cap with a fully diluted circulating supply of $64 million. It's almost fully unlocked right now, which is pretty cool. Now, what I like about this the most, which many of you won't like, is the chart. Why don't you like it? Well, because it's going towards the downside, and that scares people in crypto. But actually, you would rather buy a chart like this than a chart like this, because this chart demonstrates something very important. It shows that, remember, during our hope and excitement phase that ran up until around the 25th of March, when Bitcoin and everything was pumping until around the 25th of March, the OPSEC was welcomed onto the market with open hands and in just a few weeks did 335%. Since then, during this market cool-off phase, everyone has started to cry and run away to meme coins and other degenerate, boring stuff, which kills me, but actually, it's fine. It's normal, okay? But when this market shakeout finishes, coins that have been through this, that demonstrated good strength during this period, will likely do extremely well, ones with key partnerships in key narratives. And as I look into the chart right now for OPSEC, it couldn't look nicer, okay? We've had a nice big downtrend, and eventually we start to show that buyers are starting to step back into the market, okay? These big candles, buyer candles, are showing that OPSEC is starting to round off. There's a good chance that we see something like this developing, and it gives us a very good, healthy entry into OPSEC. From here, back to those recent swing highs, which were really not that long ago, you've got a 5x. Things looking very positive. Now, obviously, go and do your own research into these products. Understand that I'm basically choosing projects that are either already creating a massive market for themselves or have the potential to do so in the future. They're onboarding new partnerships, they're working in a positive direction. They haven't just gone quiet during this recent shakeout phase, and most of them find themselves heavily undervalued, with the exception of Ondo and Ton, which I've specifically said I wouldn't be aping into right now because the prices are quite high. Now, none of the projects I've talked about today are sponsored in any way. I did personally invest in Ton just a few weeks ago, and I also hold some Aether tokens as well as a few Aether nodes. Another project that I invested early in is Lingo, which is launching a pre-sale today. And why should you need to know about this? Well, Lingo is a gamified real-world asset powered rewards token for the next billion in Web3. It's managed to build one of the biggest, most hyped communities before it's even launched, similar to the way that Aether did. Basically, what Lingo does is it goes out there and it invests in various different projects. It invests in hotels, it invests in housing, it invests in all sorts of different things. And by investing in the Lingo token, you basically gain access to all of the different investments and return on investments that Lingo offers. So by holding a token, you can own a stake of hotels, you can own a stake of different houses. There's a bunch of different gamified rewards and all sorts of other things. Make sure you go and check out Lingo, guys. You can see them. They're called Lingo Coins over on Twitter. Make sure you go and check out more about their public sale and find out more about this information. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. A little bit longer than normal. Make sure you smash the like button because it took me longer to make and it's been very stressful and hard work this morning. And also make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you later on this week. Bye-bye.